Part 26. Shock, the love letter was sent to the Empress by mistake. Author, Mozuzi. Chapter 252. There were loud shouts of killing. As the golden lock was shattered, the space area blocking the Fiyu Holy Land became invisible, and everyone in Tianyun Palace quickly rushed into it. Only 10% of the old and weak soldiers were left in Fiyu Holy Land. When faced with Tianyun Palace's high-spirited charge, they had no power to resist. In a short time, they were killed and their armor was removed, and they were completely defeated. So fast. Seeing that Fiyu Holy Land was defeated in a short time, Nai Chen actually looked a little worried. He ran out just to hide from the Empress. As a result, Fiyu Holy Land was captured in just a few hours, and it was almost night time. When you go back, won't you be brutally squeezed dry by your wife? Although the Empress is extremely beautiful, especially when she is in the palace, she is 1/3 shy and 3/4 charming, which makes people unable to extricate themselves. But thinking about his increasingly thin body, Nai Chen couldn't help but feel a chill. Although the Empress is beautiful, she is so beautiful. Before he can think of a way to punish her properly, he must not return to Tianyun Palace. At this moment, Nai Chen suddenly saw a red light shining faintly from the depths of Fiyu Holy Land. That's the Dragon Blood Formation. Nai Chen didn't take any action at first, but suddenly, he exploded at an unprecedented terrifying speed. The figure was like a bullet, running towards the direction of the red light at an undetectable speed. The two great emperors guarded the existence of the Dragon Blood Formation extremely secretly. Once an outsider approaches, the Dragon Blood Formation will explode. But this time, Nai Chen had no intention of letting him succeed easily. Sure enough, the red light shrank violently, creating a strong sense of oppression in the formation. Immediately afterwards, there was a loud bang, and the Dragon Blood Formation suddenly exploded. However, Nai Chen had already rushed into it the moment before it exploded. And without hesitation, he grabbed the red blood crystal in the center of the Dragon Blood Formation. Boom! Bloody smoke exploded, and the huge explosion moved everything for miles around to the ground. But as the blood mist slowly dissipated, Nai Chen's body was covered with a faint layer of golden light, and he did not suffer any damage. Only when Nai Chen poured his spiritual power into the blood crystal to explore, his face showed a hint of solemnity. In this blood crystal, he could feel the aura of the powerful emperor. Moreover, this aura does not originate from one great emperor, but from the death aura of dozens of great emperors. No wonder the power of the Dragon Blood Formation is so terrifying. I'm afraid my wife is right. Something happened to the imperial mausoleum where countless great emperors are buried. It seems that this matter will be discussed with Chu Qingyu after returning to Tianyun Palace. But before that, Nai Chen's eyes flashed with golden light, scanning the bottom of the Dragon's Blood Formation. Raise your hand and shake it in its direction. In an instant, blue flames rose up, and the ground was like paper without any ability to resist. It was incinerated and burned in the sea of fire, revealing the scene below. Underground in the Dragon Blood Formation, dozens of figures were weakly leaning against the wall or falling to the ground. Moreover, these figures are all dragon girls with dragon horns on their heads and dragon tails on their backs. No, she shouldn't be considered a dragon girl. Because Nai Chen could clearly feel that the dragon blood in her body was not even as pure as the dragon blood. I'm afraid, they should belong to the lower-level dragon clan. It seems that the Dragon Blood Formation not only uses the blood of old Long Aogu, but also fills it with the blood of these dragons. When it came to matters related to the dragon clan, Nai Chen whistled without hesitation. Meow. No, roar. Not long after, a milky dragon roar came from the horizon. With golden scales on his body, Aolan fell through the air and transformed into a human form. You finally remembered me. Aolan said slightly. After all, looking back, since Valentine's Day, Nai Chen had been busy showing affection to the empress all day long, and he hadn't been to him for a long time. Especially. Suck, suck, suck. Aolan sniffed around Nai Chen's body with a trace of doubt on her face. But as he slowly turned around and continued sniffing, Aolan suddenly blushed. Her sense of smell is so sensitive that she can detect odors that humans cannot smell. You really turned against the empress and turned her into an adult. Aolan blushed slightly and exclaimed. What does it mean to turn an empress into an adult? Nai Chen was slightly stunned, but he quickly understood what Aolan said. Good guy, I never expected that the first person to spot it would be Aolan. And it's still in this strange way of smelling. You little kid, what are you thinking about all day long? Nai Chen knocked Aolan on the head. It's obviously the truth and we still don't let people say it. But it's really nice. It would be nice if you asked me to see it with my own eyes. After all, I only heard about it from Lao Long's mouth and never saw it with my own eyes. Aolan murmured. But what he got in exchange was a heavier blow from Nai Chen. What have you dragons been studying all day long? Nai Chen was a little helpless. If Aolan wasn't already a 200-year-old child, he would have begun to doubt the current atmosphere of Dragon Palace. Ouch, it hurts. Aolan covered her head with tears. It was obvious that the blow was not gentle. Not daring to say any more bad words, she walked over to several dragons and dragon girls. Several dragon girls were obviously extremely weak, and it seemed that even their essence had been sucked out. They were originally damaged, but fortunately they were not seriously injured. If you rest for a while, although you won't fully recover, you should be able to get better. After exploring several dragons with his palm, Aolan said to Nai Chen. Nai Chen nodded. Do you know which dragon clan they are from? If I guess correctly, with this figure, they should be from the dragon clan of Middle-earth. Aolan looked at the towering figures on the chests of the dragon girls, and there seemed to be a hint of gloominess in their voices. According to the figure. If he hadn't seen Aoian's firm eyes, Nai Chen would have suspected that she was talking nonsense. The dragon clan of Middle-earth? Then take me there. Nai Chen suddenly said. What are you doing there? Aolan was obviously stunned. Of course we need to return these dragon clan girls, besides they are probably not safe now. Maybe you can even save those distant relatives and show off your majesty as the Dragon King. Aolan shook his little head, obviously a little shocked by Nai Chen's statement. This approach is indeed good. But looking at Nai Chen, Aolan had a strange feeling. Strange, why do I feel like there's a conspiracy? After all, when had Nai Chen ever been so kind? How is that possible? Of course I'm just helping you establish your dragon power. Nai Chen smiled sarcastically. There seemed to be nothing wrong with this smile, but it made Aolan feel that something was wrong even more. Shock, the love letter was sent to the Empress by mistake. Author, Mozuzi. Chapter 253. Beiwa Pavilion, are you sure the Jiaolong people are here? Half an hour later, Aolan and Nai Chen stopped in front of a 5-story building. The whole attic was decorated very conspicuously, not only decorated with various ornaments, but also with fiery red lanterns and pink veils. The whole attic was swaying against the backdrop. Not only that, the attic was filled with fragrance, and the plaque hanging directly above clearly read a few words Beiwa Pavilion. The location here is already in the crowded fireworks and willow alleys, and with such decorations and names, it is hard for people not to think wrongly. This kind of place is actually where the Jiaolong people gather? Yes, after all, Jiaolong is transformed from a giant python, and its strength is not that strong. Compared to the dragon clan, their status is much lower, and they are often hunted by some monks. That's why they hide in such places to try to ensure that they will not be discovered. Aolan explained. It seems that you have finally learned some useful knowledge in the Dragon Palace. Nai Chen roughly understood the situation. Observing the surroundings, the situation is indeed so. Although this place is in the red light district, there are many brothels, but only the Beiwa Pavilion is very quiet, and no idle drunkards enter it. Nai Chen was just about to enter the Beiwa Pavilion. At this moment, two figures suddenly appeared in front of him. Master, the Beiwa Pavilion does not receive guests. It is a shabby place that pretends to be noble. If you want to come and play, it is better to come to our Linlang building. A woman who is about 30 years old, but still charming, stopped Nai Chen with a smile. This is Wawa, but she is our head, and she has only played music for guests so far, and has never done anything out of the ordinary. But I think the young master looks very compatible with her, and the moment she saw the young master, Wawa seemed to have a secret crush on him. Standing next to the madam was a very beautiful woman with gorgeous clothes. She was wearing a thin dress that was tied very tightly, with curves that outlined her slender and plump figure. Wawa's eyes looking at Nai Chen were also full of seductive charm. It must be said that such a beautiful woman is indeed rare. This tight dress is indeed somewhat seductive, and it is a gorgeous dress that you can't see on ordinary female disciples of the sect. But who is Nai Chen? With a wife who is the empress, he must be loyal and single-minded. No matter how beautiful this ordinary woman is, he will never be disturbed by her. In an instant, Nai Chen's chest seemed to surge with a trace of awe-inspiring righteousness. So, he smiled and said, "Next time for sure." "Okay, sir, don't try to deceive me. My memory is very good. When you come next time, I will definitely recognize you. And I think Wawa is the same." The madam smiled. And suddenly, Wawa took a step forward. She came close to Nai Chen, and without warning, she tiptoed and kissed Nai Chen's neck. Girl, respect yourself." Nai Chen took a step back, but was still a little slow. Accidentally, some rouge lip marks were stained on his neck. "Sorry, I just..." Wawa lowered her head in regret. "Forget it, go away." Fortunately, no one saw it around, and Nai Chen was not interested in entangled with such a thing with an ordinary woman. As for the words next time, not to mention that there are so many people coming and going every day, the woman would never remember him. After dealing with the dragon, he would never come here again anyway. He didn't intend to dwell on the problem of being kissed accidentally, nor was he interested in paying attention to the two of them. Nai Chen waved his hand, turned around and left, never looking at the two people behind him, and went straight into the Beiwa Pavilion. It was just an accident just now. Remember, don't tell anyone at this moment. The innocent are innocent. Anyway, he had nothing to feel guilty about. Nai Chen just warned Aolan for safety reasons. He, finally there is a secret that I can catch. If you don't want to tell me, give me the golden carp. Ouch. Aolan was halfway through his words with a smile when his head was hit. Also noticing that Nai Chen did not seem to be afraid of this matter, Aolan had to swallow the rest of his words back in dismay. It was a huge loss to lose the opportunity to get the golden carp for free. If I had known earlier, I should have tempted Nai Chen and let him go there to drink some wine first. Without the golden carp, I would have missed another meal of wine. Aolan felt very regretful. Walking into the Wanhua Pavilion, but seeing the figures of the Jiaolongs in the Wanhua Pavilion were stunned at the same time. "You, who are you?" A figure blocked Nai Chen's way, and everyone stood up with a look of vigilance on their faces. "Xiang Ying, be careful, the aura of this human is too strong." The pink-dressed woman blocking Nai Chen's way was Xiang Ying, the eldest daughter of the Jiaolong clan. Even the affairs in the Beiwa Pavilion seemed to be under her control. All the Jiaolong clan girls looked at Nai Chen with a hint of fear. Nai Chen also noticed that the Jiaolong clan in the Beiwa Pavilion were all women. Also, Almost all of them were slim and beautiful. What's more important is that the figure is uneven, especially in front of the breasts. In order to be able to integrate into human society and survive, the majority of the Jiaolong tribe are women. And the Jiaolong clan has grown up drinking the milk of the Jiaolong, so it is relatively rich in nutrition, and that's why they are all like this. It seemed that he felt the disrespectful look Nai Chen was looking at him. Aolan gestured in front of her chest and tried to explain. But this explanation seems even more feeble. Nai Chen, you have been drinking real dragon milk since you were a child. Why are you still so young? It doesn't matter. No, who says bigger is better? Aolan stood up with her barren chest, which could not even be seen at all, and was obviously anxious. Don't look at them because they are so big. The bigger they are, the weaker they are. Otherwise, if you see that powerful dragon king dragging such a big breast around, wouldn't it be a hindrance? Don't look at me like this, I have no guilty conscience, I'm telling the truth. Aolan tried his best to explain, but Nai Chen's eyes did not change at all. He just looked at the towering peaks of the dragon tribe and then at his own flat grassland. There was a bit of disgust and contempt in his eyes. It's too much, it's too much. Woo, okay, I admit it, I don't know why I am so flat. Aolan felt aggrieved and almost cried out of anger. These dragons are just taller than me, the real Dragon King, but they are so much bigger there. My majesty as a Dragon King is completely gone. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Shock, the love letter was sent to the Empress by mistake. Author, MaleProtagonist. Chapter 254. The scene in front of them made all the women of the Jiaolong tribe dumbfounded. How could anyone come to Beiwa Pavilion to compare breast size with me? What on earth is this little girl who is just as tall as me thinking? But no matter what time, there must be no slackness. Excuse me, what do you want to do here? Even though it seems that Nai Chen is not a bad guy, Xiangying dare not relax. Her dress moved slowly, holding a pink short sword to block Nai Chen. I came here to return something. Nai Chen waved his hand and the space twisted. Then, several figures came out of the space. Although they were pale, these Jiaolong girls were not in danger of their lives. How come you are here? Xiangying was slightly stunned, and then she recognized that these were the Jiaolong tribe members who were captured not long ago. She rushed forward quickly, and other women around her also stepped forward. Helped up dozens of weak Jiaolong girls. They hurriedly stuffed the precious pills into the girls' mouths without mercy. The girls slowly opened their eyes, and finally they could confirm that they were not seriously injured. When these tribesmen were kidnapped, all the dragons thought that they would never come back. Unexpectedly, they would be saved by the person in front of them. Thank you for saving them, Senior. I am Xiangying, the daughter of the chief of the Jiaolong tribe. I am willing to repay you with everything I have. With tears in her eyes, Xiangying bowed deeply to Nai Chen. It's nothing. I just happened to save them after conquering the Fiyu Holy Land. Nai Chen waved his hand. According to the bloody TV plots he watched before crossing here. Generally, in this situation, if the hero is ugly, the grateful woman will say, I can't repay you for saving my life, I can only repay you in the next life. But if the hero is handsome, the response will be, I can't repay you for saving my life, I can only repay you with my body. After thinking about it, I must be very handsome. But with the Empress wife, I don't need another person to repay me with her body. Nai Chen responded very decisively, which made Xiangying stunned for a moment. Although she was interrupted halfway through her words, she looked at Nai Chen with tears in her eyes and full of gratitude. At this moment, all the women of the Jiaolong tribe looked at Nai Chen solemnly and bowed slowly. To show their respect, they took off their disguises and revealed the dragon horns on their heads and the dragon tails behind their hips. These women are beautiful, and with the embellishment of dragon horns and dragon tails. Under those colorful and gorgeous dresses, a completely different beauty is set off. Dragon Lady. There are so many people on Blue Star who love cosplay, but only a few can really cosplay with the spirit. But now, these beautiful girls of the Jiaolong clan, the dragon horns on their heads, and the furry dragon tails behind them are simply natural, without any flaws. Hiss. Nai Chen felt his heart tremble immediately. Aolan was around him all day, but he didn't feel anything at all. It seems that he found the reason. Except for that barren flat area. In my impression, Aolan seemed to show the dragon horns when pretending to be arrogant, and showed the dragon tail when lying guilty, but it seems that he never showed the standard dragon lady form at the same time. You, what do you want to do? Suddenly noticing Nai Chen's strange smile, Aolan felt a chill on his back. Nai Chen, nonsense, as a dragon king, you can't even transform into a dragon mother, right? Dragon mother? I am a majestic dragon king, how can I transform into such a shameful state? A golden carp? This is not good. 2. I am a majestic dragon king, turning into a beast mother or something. 3. Deal. Aolan shouted out instantly. No, why did I agree so rashly? Thinking of himself turning into a dragon mother, Aolan suddenly felt ashamed. If the deep-sea dragons saw him, his dignity as a dragon king would be gone. But what can he do? He gave too much. 3 golden carp, I am afraid no dragon would refuse. Although he resisted in his heart, for the carp, Aolan had to suppress his shame. A burst of light swept by. A shadow began to slowly emerge above Aoian's head, and the space behind him was constantly distorted. The light finally dissipated. As the shadow trembled slightly, the dragon horns on the head and the dragon tail behind him all condensed into a solid shape. Looking at it this way, I have to say it's still quite cute. Nai Chen couldn't help but exclaimed. At this moment, Aoian's face was flushed because of excessive shame. The dragon horns on his head were shining with majestic golden light because he was the dragon king. As for the dragon tail behind him, it was even more furry, and it sometimes curled up into a circle and sometimes swayed with excessive shame. With the combination of the two, Aolan seemed to have completely become a mini dragon girl. Although she was far less charming than those dragon girls, her petite and shy appearance was also interesting. She looked like a dragon girl doll. The furry dragon tail was really eye-catching, and Nai Chen couldn't help but pinch Aoian's dragon tail. Suddenly, in addition to woof and meow / as the Dragon King, Aolan unlocked a new dragon roar. It felt a bit criminal. Looking at Aoian's red face, Nai Chen coughed lightly and had to withdraw his hand first. But looking at the scene in front of him, all the Jiaolong women, including Xiang Ying, had their pupils shrink. Just now, all their attention was on Nai Chen, and they didn't notice the girl next to him at all. But at this moment, when Aoian's dragon horns and tail were revealed, they clearly noticed. This golden dragon horn, and the breath it exudes. This girl is not from the Jiaolong tribe at all. Not only is she a real dragon, but her bloodline is extremely strong, and she may even be the dragon king of a sea area. She can make the dragon king of a sea area so humble around her, and even touch the most fragile and sensitive tail of the dragon. How terrifying is this person's identity? Even though they knew that Nai Chen had no ill intentions, and even saved the lives of many Jiaolong tribe members. At this moment, Xiang Ying and the women of the Jiaolong clan around her were all shocked, as if a storm surged. Nai Chen's identity was enough to make them feel cold in their hearts. Ding, successfully humiliated the Dragon King of the Dragon Clan, causing several Jiaolong clan's Dao hearts to be shocked. The host is indeed a role model for humans. Release system rewards, upgraded version of Longjian Yang Pill, 9 Yang Chaos Pill. 9 Yang Chaos Pill effect, greatly increase Yang Qi, even facing the Emperor and strong without being defeated. Shock, the love letter was sent to the Empress by mistake. Author, MaleProtagonist. Chapter 255. Upgraded version of Dragon's Yin Aphrodisiac Pill, 8th grade pill, 9 Yang Chaos Pill. At this moment, even Nai Chen couldn't hide his joy. The thing he is most concerned about is naturally the description behind the system. Even if it is to deal with the powerful emperor, it still has the power to fight. Thinking back to the shame I felt a few days ago. Men can suffer any insult, but they cannot say that they are not good enough. Now, I can finally regain my face. Wife, don't blame me for this. Nai Chen couldn't help but smile slightly. As long as this 8th level elixir has the effect, I can finally bully the Empress. Although it can only solve urgent needs, as long as you hold on until you reach the realm of the Great Emperor, everything will be solved. The only problem is. Nai Chen frowned slightly. In the past, various alchemy medicinal materials, no matter how precious they were, could be exchanged for them in the system mall. And most of the prices are not expensive. Many extremely precious spiritual herbs are only worth 2 skill points. However, the most important medicinal material for refining the 9 Yang Chaos Pill, the Beast King's Inner Pill, cannot be redeemed in the system mall. The reason seems to be traceable. Although the 9 Yang Chaos Pill, an 8th grade elixir, is extremely powerful, it is precisely because of this that the required Beast King Inner Elixir requires at least a sea opening realm monster Beast Inner Elixir. Moreover, after the Inner Elixir is taken out, it must be refined into an elixir within an hour. The conditions are extremely strict. However, the realm of the Great Emperor is too powerful after all. Such a difficult step is actually acceptable. But the problem is. The pill of the Beast King? Where should I find this thing? Seeing those Beiwa Pavilion girls treating the weak girls from the Dragon Clan who were lying on the ground with tears in their eyes, Nai Chen suddenly asks Yang Ying. Do you know who captured your people? This. Hearing these words, Xiang Ying, who was originally very strong, had a look of loneliness in his eyes. It seems that he wants to say it, but he doesn't dare to say it. Looking at Aolan, who was exuding awe-inspiring dragon power, she finally made up her mind and spoke. Although we, the Dragon Clan, are not favored by humans and beasts, we can only hide in human towns. But this large-scale and brutal pursuit of us only started a few months ago. At first, our tribe didn't know why, and we were not prepared. Therefore, it is unknown how many people from the Jiaolong clan have been kidnapped, and their lives and deaths are still uncertain. It wasn't until later that we figured out why. Having said this, Xiang Ying pursed her lips, obviously feeling very sad. The people who ordered our arrest are Emperor Fiyu and Emperor Yushan. They seem to be doing this to perfect a certain formation. And the one who took matters into his own hands and hunted and killed the clansmen without any scruples was the King of Beasts who had the strength to open up to the sea. King of Beasts. Upon hearing these words, Nai Chen became interested instantly. Sure enough, I guessed it right. It is best for all races in the world to kill each other. I never thought I could actually find a candidate for the beast elixir. Yes, he is now in the canyon of Dongjishan. I'm afraid, there are still many tribesmen whose lives are uncertain in his hands, and even. Xiang Ying couldn't help but clenched his fists, as if hating his lack of strength. I can only say this, but I have no ability to go to Dongjishan. Great, then I'm going to book this Dongjishan hotel. Nai Chen smiled. Upon hearing these words, Xiang Ying's expression changed slightly in an instant, and he quickly stopped him. No, the King of Beasts is at the level of the sea-opening realm. Its strength far exceeds that of ordinary sea-opening monks. Even if you want to help us, the Dragon Clan, You absolutely cannot take such a big risk. Nai Chen, well, you're worrying too much. I just went to get the beast elixir. It has nothing to do with saving the dragon clan. Xiang Ying. Many dragon girls. They originally thought that Nai Chen was passing by and acted bravely, or he was attracted by their beauty. But the situation, why doesn't it seem to be different? Without wasting any more time, Nai Chen took Aolan out of the Beiwa Pavilion and headed directly in the direction of the King of Beasts that Xiang Ying pointed out just now. Under the sunlight, the Suangu holy body emitted bursts of mysterious aura, which reflected Nai Chen's graceful leaving figure. Looking at that extremely handsome back. For a moment, many women in Beiwa Pavilion couldn't help but blush slightly. They had never paid so much attention and impression to men before. Especially, human men. No, the beast pill does have a certain effect on the human race. But who would risk great dangers to fight monsters in the sea-opening realm for the sake of beast elixir? What's more, the alchemy path of Lanchuan continent is declining now, and there are no elixir prescriptions that can use the sea-opening beast elixir. Even if the Beast King's demon elixir is taken away, it will be completely useless. At this moment, Xiang Ying suddenly remembered something and blurted it out. Yes. The dragon woman beside her suddenly recalled her thoughts at the same time. They looked at each other with a bit of astonishment on their cheeks. And, a feeling of sadness came over me. So, this human cultivator used the excuse of taking away the beast pills to prevent us from paying too much attention, but he really just wanted to help our Jiaolong clan. We just met by chance and had no contact before, but he was willing to help our Jiaolong clan and pay so much. How can we repay him? In an instant, many Jiaolong clan women were moved to tears, and the dragon tails behind them drooped, as if expressing their sad emotions. I heard that human women repay their gratitude by giving themselves to others. We really have no way to repay them, so why not? But the strength of that cultivator is such that even the Dragon King has to surrender. Who among us can be worthy of him? I guess it's only the young lady. All the girls in Beiwa Pavilion looked at Xiang Ying at the same time. This kind of thing. In an instant, Xiang Ying, who always maintained the backbone of Beiwa Pavilion and showed her leadership ability, blushed slightly. As red as the pink skirt on her body, she was charming. If Miss Xiang Ying doesn't agree, we can do it? Yes, although I am a human, I can do it. I can do it, I can do it, I can pledge my love to you. At this moment, everyone else came over. Okay, let's discuss this later. Xiang Ying suddenly raised her voice. Anyway, the next time that cultivator comes, we must treat him well. The voice of this sentence became very small again, as if he was whispering to himself. Shock, the love letter was sent to the Empress by mistake. Author, Mozuzi. Chapter 256. Haha, I didn't expect that Emperor Fiyu was actually killed. The canyon is filled with all kinds of ugly monsters. In the deepest cave, there are countless animal bones and human bones as decorations. Sitting on a large seat made of animal skin and human bones, the king of beasts, with the head of an ox and a human body, but covered with gnarled muscles, laughed wildly. The pig demon on the side was a little confused. Your Majesty, we work for those two emperors. Their death should be detrimental to us. Why are you so happy? What do you know? The king of beasts laughed wildly. Although I work for them, as the lord of beasts, I still need to listen to their orders. Now that these two great emperors are dead, the spiritual stones earned from capturing the dragon clan for them have already been obtained. The sale is over and there are no people left, which is simply the best outcome. Empress Kingu naturally doesn't bother to do anything to a stinky place like ours. The only problem is a strange character named Nai Chen, but since we have no interaction with him, there will naturally be no problems. Now, not only are these spiritual stones earned in vain, but also the remaining dragon clan. As he said this, he looked at the tied-up dragon girls beside him, with a look of vulgarity on his face. I have to say, although I hate the dragon clan the most, but the girls in her clan are really smart. Hiss, look at this white belly, where can we find it in our valley? Finally, I don't have to hand over the dragon clan's people, so I can just. The smile on the bull's head was extremely lewd, and he couldn't help but take a sip of saliva from his mouth. Stepping off the animal skin seat, the king of beasts approached step by step. The rough claws-like cow hooves rested on the white and tender belly of one of the girls, and rubbed it from side to side. Not bad, really good. Glancing at the monster beasts surrounding him, the king of beasts' smile became even more rampant. Today, I am going to enjoy myself here. The claws moved upward along the belly. In an instant, the dragon girl's face turned pale and completely lost her color. The tribesmen around her were also frightened, and their bodies even began to tremble. I heard that it is best for the king of beasts to play with others before handing it over to his subordinates. Feeling the unkind and greedy looks coming from all directions, they could no longer imagine what would happen to them if they fell into the hands of such a beast. Everything, I'm afraid, is about to end. Tears were shining, and several dragon girls had been frightened to tears. The king of beasts' smile also began to become more and more decadent. Even the ugly cow's mouth has opened. Who? At this moment, he turned around suddenly. In this canyon filled with all kinds of monsters, a figure quietly appeared out of nowhere. But at this moment, this figure seemed to be walking among the beasts without any scruples. Who are you? Only then did the monster guarding outside react, and immediately rushed forward, trying to stop Nai Chen. But he saw a strong monster rushing forward. Blood splattered, and in an instant, their bodies were cut into two pieces. In just the blink of an eye, dozens of monsters were killed at the same time. Moreover, none of these monster beasts are below the level of Xianyuan realm. At this moment, the Lord of Beasts finally had a look of solemnity on his face, and had no choice but to give up on the dragon girl next to him. There has been almost no one who can scare him. But for some reason, this figure coming from a distance actually made him feel a hint of fear from the bottom of his heart. Asshole, a human dares to break into our beast valley. A hippopotamus monster with the strength of the late Xianyuan realm opened its bloody mouth and bit into it, creating a smelly wind. But that seemingly huge body came to an abrupt halt in an instant. Everyone could clearly see that a sword mark penetrated from the body of the hippopotamus monster. It was just a shallow sword mark, almost undetectable. But in an instant, the light grew brighter, and the tiny sword mark quickly filled the air. Puff! The body of the hippopotamus monster broke into two halves and fell to the ground slumped. It turned into a rain of blood, floating around. The blood rain dispersed, and the king of beasts finally saw the figure clearly. Nai Chen. Even though he knew very little about human monks. But this name has already been remembered in my heart. It was rumored that when the two emperors attacked Tianyun Palace, they summoned the corpse of half a calamity alive using a strange method. In that battle, not even Empress Qingyu could match her. But Nai Chen from Tianyun Palace burned the two great emperors together with the corpse with green flames that filled the sky. No one knows what Nai Chen's true realm is, but they only have a deep understanding that his strength is simply unfathomable and impossible to measure. The king of beasts showed a completely panicked look. I have no enmity with you, and I have never offended Tianyun Palace. Friends, there is no need for anything unpleasant to happen between us. However, Nai Chen still walked in. Wherever it passed, rivers of blood flowed, and no monsters survived. The combat power displayed was completely overwhelming. The king of beasts was completely panicked. Friend, what do you want? I can give you gold, silver, jewelry, or spiritual stones and money, etc. He looked at the Jiaolong girl beside him, and seemed to have found the reason. He immediately smiled flatteringly. If you are interested in these Jiaolong girls, I can give them all to you. If you want more, I can even help you catch them. Sorry, I'm not interested. Nai Chen had a smile on his face, and looked at the king of beasts with a greedy look. Are you? Noticing Nai Chen's gaze, the old face of the king of beasts on his bull head instantly blushed. As a man, he naturally could not fail to feel the greedy look. What else could he be greedy for when he stared at his body so intently? I just didn't expect that such a handsome human like Nai Chen would actually like this. You are actually interested in my body. Although I am the king of beasts, if it really doesn't work, I'm greedy for your body. Hearing this, Nai Chen almost vomited blood in anger. But the look you gave me just now. The king of beasts was stunned for a moment, but soon seemed to react. It is said that human men's mouths are deceiving. If you look at me with that look just now, don't try to deceive me. The ugly old bull-headed man blushed, and his strong body twisted around as if shy. This scene almost made Nai Chen vomit the food he had eaten a few days ago. Ah! Nai Chen's scalp numbed and he couldn't help it. White Feather Dharma Image. 3 Emperor's Illusion. Heavenly Spirit Green Flame. Boom, boom, boom. In the blink of an eye, the entire canyon was razed to the ground by Nai Chen's anger. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Shock, the love letter was sent to the Empress by mistake. Author, MaleProtagonist. Chapter 257. The flames shot up to the sky, the golden light filled the mountains, and the strong aftermath alone cracked all the rocks in the canyon. Aolan, who arrived a step later, was shocked. As far as she could remember, she had never seen Nai Chen use such a cruel hand. Aolan was a little trembling and confused. Why did you hit so hard today? I remember just now I seemed to hear the king of beasts say that you were greedy for his body. Could it be that he was right? You were right. If Aolan wasn't his pet, Nai Chen would have wanted to hit her too. He almost vomited all the food he had eaten for several days because of this bull demon. But to be honest, he was half right about craving for his body. Nai Chen pulled out a knife, pierced the king of beasts' stanchion directly, and took out a beast pill from it. The beast pill of the Baha'i realm is a light golden yellow, and since he had just died a few seconds ago, the beast pill was still warm. Feeling the majestic aura flowing from the beast pill, Nai Chen inexplicably felt that with this thing, he might really be able to refine a 9-yang chaos pill that even the Empress could deal with. But before that, Nai Chen lit up the fire, dug out 2 more things from the king of beasts, and strung them together. Under the scorching of the bonfire, sprinkled some salt and seasoning. The aroma filled the air, and the 2 things were actually baked to a light golden color. Hiss, it smells so good, what is this? The rich aroma filled the air, and Aolan couldn't help but spit. Just now, she was a little scared when she saw Nai Chen digging it out cruelly. But now she smelled it. It smelled so good. Nai Chen continued to roast without distraction. Beef kidney. Beef kidney. It was the first time Aolan heard of someone eating this part. It was indeed fragrant. But why do you eat this? Why have I never seen you eat it before? Nai Chen, whatever you eat, you will get what you want. Aolan. This answer made her a little confused. Taking a deep breath of the delicious aroma, Aolan couldn't help but grumble. Then, can I eat a bunch? No. This time, Nai Chen's answer was more decisive than before. Aolan was a little confused. Why? Because you don't need it? Why don't you need it? Because you are a single dog. In an instant, Aolan felt that her heart was hit by 10,000 points. Ah, so hateful. But before she pounced forward, Nai Chen had already picked up the roasted beef kidneys. 1 bite at a time. The aroma filled her mouth, and the golden shell was actually a little crispy. I have to admit that although the king of beasts doesn't look good, his kidneys are very fragrant. Of course, the more important thing is to eat what you want. The sea-opening monster beast is really a treasure from head to toe. After eating 2 strings of beef kidneys, Nai Chen instantly felt as if all his strength had been fully restored, which was even stronger than the dragon roar aphrodisiac pill. However, the next part was the highlight. Nai Chen smiled slightly and set up the pill furnace with a green flame. The 9 Yang Chaos pill formula provided by the system had already been memorized in his mind. The 8th grade pill, the upgraded version of the Dragon Roar aphrodisiac pill, once this pill is refined, the effect must not be underestimated. The beast pill was put into the pill furnace, and the medicinal materials exchanged from the system mall were also refined in it. After eating 2 strings of beef kidneys, Nai Chen seemed to have a much better understanding of the spiritual energy of the king of beasts. The beast pill put into it was even more obedient, and slowly merged with other medicinal materials under Nai Chen's control. Huiwen Dabuko, Mu Ri Su Yang Hua, Qian Nian Ling Shi Skin. Each medicinal material can greatly increase Yang Qi and is extremely precious. It was thrown in as if it was free. These pills, which were already full of Yang energy, were obviously unwilling to surrender and tried their best to resist Nai Chen's fusion. Although they had no spiritual consciousness, the resistance condensed by these pills was no less than that of a Saint Emperor realm expert wrestling with Nai Chen. Moreover, they were unwilling to admit defeat. This was an 8th grade pill. Even if there were pill recipes and medicinal materials inherited from ancient times, in order to successfully refine them, they needed to have both extremely strong strength and alchemy methods. Once there was a slight mistake in the process or the medicinal materials could not be suppressed, a furnace of pills would be destroyed. A blazing flame burned from the pill furnace, and even Nai Chen, who was controlling the pill furnace, was swallowed by it. Under the stimulation of dozens of medicinal materials, the beast pill of the Bahai realm no longer had its previous calmness. Bathed in flames and majestic spiritual energy, it kept colliding and squeezing everywhere, trying to destroy the pill furnace and break through the air. Nai Chen looked a little solemn. The more vigorous the Yang Qi of the elixir is, the more it must be suppressed by brute force. Without any warning, a golden Dharma image appeared behind Nai Chen. The huge golden giant stood in the sky, and it seemed that the entire canyon was flattened under his feet. The majestic golden light was awe-inspiring, as majestic as a mountain. The majestic spiritual power vibrated in waves around, and even deliberately suppressed the elixir in the furnace. It's impossible that even the Dharma image was summoned when refining an elixir. Ao Ian's frightened face turned pale. She could clearly feel that compared with the time when the 2 emperors attacked the Tianyun Palace, Nai Chen's strength had greatly improved. Is this person's strength infinitely enhanced? When Ao Lan signed the contract with Nai Chen just now, he clearly remembered that Nai Chen's strength was not much different from his own, and he might even be weaker than his own. But even with the blessing of so many golden carps, his promotion speed was far behind Nai Chen. Could it be that he secretly ate golden carps every night without my knowledge? Ao Ian's small head was full of doubts. At this moment, a very majestic spiritual power burst out from the alchemy furnace. In addition to the rich fragrance of the elixir, this breath was actually filled with extremely strong masculine energy. When the alchemy furnace was opened, the fragrance of the elixir overflowed, and there was even more dazzling light shining in the canyon. The 8th grade elixir was extremely difficult to refine, and only one beast elixir of a sea-opening beast king was refined. But just this elixir quietly placed in the elixir furnace could make people feel the abundant spiritual power contained in it. The pill fell into Nai Chen's hands, and the breath it exuded alone made Nai Chen feel refreshed, and his whole body seemed to be filled with strength. It is worthy of being a pill that can punish even the emperor. The power of this 9 Yang Chaos pill is really stronger than I imagined. Nai Chen couldn't help but feel happy, and soon there was a smile on the corner of his mouth. I didn't expect that I would be laughed at by my wife before. But tonight, it's time to go back to Tianyun Palace to get back at him. I must let the Empress know how powerful her husband is. Shock, the love letter was sent to the Empress by mistake. Author, MaleProtagonist. Chapter 258. Aolan was given the task of bringing the trapped dragon girl back to Beiwa Pavilion, while Nai Chen returned to Tianyun Palace with high spirits. After all, the shorter the time the refined 9-yang chaos pill is placed, the stronger the amplification and effect it contains. It's time to get back the face you lost in front of the Empress. Returning to Tianyun Hall, Nai Chen quickly noticed that many monks from all directions were leaving Tianyun Hall, and Yu Yun returned to the sect. The huge crowd showed that there were definitely many sects coming this time. What happened? Nai Chen fell to the ground and happened to meet Elder Wang. I remember you left before me, why did you come back so late? Elder Wang was slightly curious, but quickly answered. It's because the Empress just held a conference and announced 2 things to the sects that surrendered to Tianyun Palace and all the forces in the world. What 2 things? Nai Chen quickly recalled that the monks from various sects he passed just now seemed to have solemn expressions on their faces, as if they were extremely worried about something. With so many sects coming at the same time, the situation seemed indeed different from what was imagined. Elder Wang also looked a bit apprehensive. The first thing the Empress talked about was about the Imperial Mausoleum. This time, the reason why Emperor Fiyu and Emperor Yushin were able to summon corpses to descend was even to the point of reaching the level of half-step calamity. I'm afraid something has happened in the Imperial Mausoleum now. The Empress has ordered Tianyun Palace to start preparing to enter the Imperial Mausoleum. Nai Chen couldn't help but look at the forging room burning with flames. When he first came back, he noticed that there seemed to be many good blacksmiths forging armor. The matter about the Imperial Mausoleum where countless great emperors are buried is indeed enough to attract the attention of the world. What about the second thing? Nai Chen asked. This. Elder Wang showed a hint of embarrassment. The second thing the Empress said is, she may announce a big event today. Nai Chen. Where is the co-authored Empress in this matryoshka? But, big deal. After thinking for a moment, Nai Chen couldn't help but smile. The Empress kept it so mysterious that even the disciples and elders of Tianyun Palace could not guess it at all. But he was very clear about this matter. First, his wife forcibly kissed him, and then he carried the Empress back to the palace. It is estimated that many people have already seen some clues. The Empress has no intention of concealing it for a long time, and now the only thing left is to make the matter completely public. Do you know something, Nai Chen? Noticing Nai Chen's smile, Elder Wang asked quickly. Honestly, wait for the Empress to announce it in the future. Doesn't Elder Wang still want to learn high-end love skills from me? Maybe I will tell you slowly when the time comes. Nai Chen patted Elder Wang's shoulder discreetly, and walked away in the direction of the palace without saying anything more. Elder Wang was left standing there alone, starting to become more and more confused. In the palace at this moment, Chu Qingyu looked a little tired after dealing with many things. After finally taking some time off, he leaned against the window and sighed coldly. The beauty's silhouette, each dress falling on the bed. The light blue long skirt not only brings out the beautiful figure, but also has a bit of inviolable coolness. At this moment, she soon saw a figure walking outside the palace. Come back so soon. In an instant, the look of exhaustion on that beautiful face disappeared. Looking at Nai Chen, Chu Qingyu smiled slightly. However, this smile contained a somewhat different feeling than before. I thought you didn't even dare to come to the palace. Alas, it seems that I still have the upper hand. Covering her mouth and smiling softly, Chu Qingyu felt a bit playful and content. Facing a bad guy like Nai Chen who had bullied him more than once, it was not easy to finally find his weakness. Empress, what are you going to do? In line with the performance, Nai Chen pretended to be panicked and seemed to want to retreat. The two people's previous offensive and defensive momentum seemed to be completely reversed at this moment. Chu Qingyu was slightly stunned. This was the first time in her memory that Nai Chen looked panicked. Unexpectedly, I really caught his weakness. As the majestic Empress Qingyu, she was bullied by Nai Chen more than once. But this time, there was a charming smile at the corner of Chu Qingyu's mouth that was completely different from that beautiful face. Even though it's a bit shy to say those words proactively, but it's such a beautiful time, with a beautiful woman by your side, don't you think about other things? With a charming smile, Chu Qingyu gently moved the hem of her skirt. Suddenly, the thin blue dress outlined a graceful curve. It's concave where it should be, convex where it should be, and those perfect lines seem to have no flaws. Especially the portion size is definitely not small. Coupled with that charming cheek, even though it is a bit cold, it is so beautiful that it seems to be breathtaking. Nai Chen's acting skills exploded, showing a more obvious look of panic. Take a breath. Honey, I just happened to pass by to see you. Just pretend that I've never come back. I'll leave now. After saying that, he seemed to be leaving in a hurry. Humph, how can it be so easy to leave the emperor's palace once you've arrived? But Chu Qingyu exuded the power of the emperor, grabbed Nai Chen directly, and pressed him on the bed without hesitation. Have you forgotten how you bullied me before? Humph, this time I will bully you back. Under the candlelight, King Chen's cheeks were flushed. Chu Qingyu pressed Nai Chen on the bed with a faint smile. I'm a little weak now, let me go. No. It will kill me. At most, I'll be gentle. How can a woman be gentle to a man? Anyway, I want you to accompany me. Chu Qingyu was full of confidence and had no intention of letting Nai Chen, who was in a panic, go. Under the candlelight, the cherry lips slowly approached. Through the drooping neckline, Nai Chen could even see the whiteness of the jade. Okay, you are worthy of being my wife. But, my wife, you are too proud. At this moment, Nai Chen's voice suddenly came. Chu Qingyu was slightly stunned. Suddenly, she realized something was wrong. Nai Chen's attitude seemed completely different from before. But wasn't Nai Chen so weak that he didn't recover at all in the past few days? Having been tricked by Nai Chen more than once, Chu Qingyu suddenly felt a little panicked. Realizing that something was wrong, she hurriedly wanted to escape. But it was too late. Her fair wrist was caught by Nai Chen. With a flip, the two of them turned upside down. Your body is still recovering. While speaking normally, Chu Qingyu's pretty face suddenly changed color. She clearly saw Nai Chen take a golden pill. And that pill seemed to be the legendary 8th grade elixir, 9 Yang Chaos Pill. Shock, the love letter was sent to the Empress by mistake. Author, MaleProtagonist. Chapter 259. What are you going to do to me? At this moment, Chu Qingyu was obviously a little panicked. She could clearly feel that the aura in Nai Chen's body was rising steadily, especially the masculine energy, which became extremely abundant. Honey, haven't you always wanted me to sleep in the palace recently? Why did you suddenly change this time? Nai Chen smiled slightly. I did think so before, but now. I thought I had the upper hand. But Chu Qingyu never expected that Nai Chen would have such a skill. That is the long-lost 8th grade elixir. Even if he is the body of an emperor. In an instant, that beautiful face turned completely red. Don't think that you can defeat this emperor. I will never give in. Biting her silver teeth, she pretended to be calm and made a cold voice. But with a whoo sound, the candle on the side had been blown out. In the calm night sky of Tianyun Palace, there was an extremely small sound floating faintly today. The sound was as sweet as a silver bell, but it was undetectable and quickly dissipated with the wind. 2 hours later, Chu Qingyu was huddled in the corner, her cold face completely red. Even, there are a few drops of crystal fragrant sweat. Are you a beast? Even if you have 8th grade elixir. Even though the night sky is dark, the bright moonlight can still illuminate her flawless face. Especially when there was an unconcealable blush on his originally cold cheeks, and he retreated slightly tremblingly. When did Empress Qingyu, who was not afraid of the sky or the earth, even fight 3 emperors and fight for half a calamity on her own, ever show such a slightly fearful look? Looking at the beautiful and shy scene under the moonlight, Nai Chen smiled slightly, and he was instantly full of strength. You, don't get close to this emperor. The night is long, but also very short. The concept of time is a philosophical question. Because it's the same night, sometimes you can only do one thing, such as sleeping well until dawn. But sometimes, you can do a lot in one night. For example, the second day. In front of the dressing table, Chu Qingyu gently combed her silky hair with a wooden comb. 3,000 hair strands hang down softly. She never puts on makeup, but her skin is as shiny as snow. Her neat pleated skirt has a refreshing and chilling atmosphere. Honey, why don't you wear the blue dress yesterday? I still feel that dress suits your temperament better. Nai Chen stretched his waist. Gently hugging Chu Qingyu's slender waist, their faces appeared in the mirror at the same time. It's so close that you can even hear your breath. Chu Qingyu's cheeks were slightly red, with a bit of resentment. Nonsense, why are you still wearing that dress? Really? Nai Chen turned around and looked at the bed. The blue dress was ravaged and wrinkled, and it was still wet on the corner of the bed. It seems indeed. Nai Chen coughed slightly in embarrassment. Just looking at this blue dress is enough to show how intense the battle yesterday was. No way. After all, the effect of Zhu Yang Chaos Pill is extremely good. Another empress who is simply unable to extricate herself from the beauty. Do the math. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Is this still something humans do? This is simply an animal. After all, Nai Chen couldn't help but feel a little embarrassed. But after successfully defeating his wife, the satisfaction is quite good. Besides, Nai Chen suddenly said with a subtle smile. But it's not because my wife is in the realm of the great emperor and can completely bear it. More importantly, my wife, although you complain verbally, you were even worse than me yesterday. Stop talking, stop talking. Chu Qingyu's face was red with embarrassment, and her fists were already hitting Nai Chen's chest. Feeling the small fist from the emperor, a stream of blood flowed from the corner of Nai Chen's mouth. Being strong is good. Ever since he reached the late stage of the high realm, he had only spit out a little blood after being hit by a series of small fists. If this were the previous state, I'm afraid he wouldn't be able to ascend to heaven directly from where he was. But I have to admit that my wife's level of bluntness is simply the worst of the incident. The sun gradually rose, and the sunlight reflected into the palace. It shines on the messy blue dress, and also on the slightly moist bamboo leaves beside the pillow. Sitting quietly in front of the dressing table, the two of them were silent. But at this scene, when I felt the warm eyes, I felt a warm feeling in my heart. Finally, Chu Qingyu laughed uncontrollably, her laughter sounding like a silver bell. Honey, what are you laughing at? You care about me. Ha ha. Nai Chen couldn't help but laugh. Although they didn't do anything, just sitting side by side in front of the dressing table and looking at each other through the mirror, the two of them felt that this quiet time was so beautiful. Although Chu Qingyu felt ashamed when she thought of last night's scene. Forget it, I won't pursue what happened yesterday. She hummed softly, with a beautiful smile on her lips. Why is my wife so reasonable all of a sudden? When has this emperor not been reasonable? Let me think about it, wasn't it last night? You. No, I remembered it wrong, And that night, Nai Chen. Although Chu Qingyu was somewhat resentful, she was just joking. But the little fist of the Empress that hit Nai Chen's chest accidentally lifted the corner of Nai Chen's collar. In an instant, Chu Qingyu's eyes narrowed slightly. Last night, the candlelight was dim and it was completely unclear. But at this moment, in the dazzling sunlight, she clearly saw that Nai Chen had a lip print at the corner of his mouth. He never wears makeup, so this rouge lip print naturally couldn't be his. In other words, Nai Chen, where did you go after you and Elder Wang broke through the Fiyu Holy Land? Chu Qingyu's eyes narrowed into two slits, and as she smiled, they curved like a crescent moon. Hiss, so scary. Even though the Empress was smiling, Nai Chen suddenly felt a chill on his back. It is said that people with squinting eyes are monsters, but my wife was fine just now, so there should be no reason for her to suddenly get angry. Nai Chen didn't care too much. After conquering the Fiyu Holy Land, I found a lot of Jiaolong people, and sent them back to their tribesmen. Oh? You are so kind. Let me ask you one more question, are there many girls among those Jiaolong people? Chu Qingyu's smile became more bright. Nai Chen answered decisively, it's not that there are many girls, but that they are all girls. Wow, that's really attractive, can you take me there too? Chu Qingyu smiled as cute as a flower, but her eyes were still narrowed like crescents. Of course, but what do you want to do, wife? Nai Chen suddenly felt a little cold on his back. Date. Are you sure? Yes. For some reason, Nai Chen always felt that the weather today was unexpectedly cold. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Shock, the love letter was sent to the Empress by mistake. Author, MaleProtagonist. Chapter 260. The street outside Beiwa Pavilion seemed to be a bit busier than the previous few days. The sound of melodious music came from the gorgeously decorated attics, and there were thinly dressed girls showing off their charming and graceful figures on the streets. Even, from time to time, the voice came out, "Uncle, let's play." Fireworks and Willow Alley, bustling with lights and feasting, looking at the promiscuous woman in cool clothes and heavy makeup, Chu Qingyu raised the corner of her mouth slightly, but her smile didn't seem friendly. Is this the hiding place of the dragon clan you mentioned? Ahem, that's right. Nai Chen coughed lightly and suddenly realized something was wrong. Although he was talking about a date and still had a smile on his lips, his wife was obviously in a weird state. Isn't it fine this morning? Why did my wife suddenly seem a little weird after looking in the mirror for a while? In the end, Nai Chen couldn't help but scan himself with spiritual consciousness. There is nothing wrong with my face and nothing wrong with my body. But suddenly, he suddenly noticed the almost undetectable carmine mark on his neck. When I went to Beiwa Pavilion before, I was kissed by a woman without paying attention. The rouge lip mark has almost disappeared, making it difficult for ordinary people to see. But for Chu Qingyu, she couldn't escape her eyesight at all. Why did I forget this matter? Nai Chen was a little speechless, but he didn't pay too much attention. After all, he did nothing. If you have an open mind, you will naturally be fearless. Honey, you said you wanted to date me. Is it because of this? Nai Chen suddenly pointed at the red lip marks on his neck. This question made Chu Qingyu slightly stunned. How do you know? If Nai Chen really did something wrong, it would be impossible for him to take the initiative to point it out. Could it be that you really are overthinking it? There was a trace of doubt on Chu Qingyu's pretty face. It's a long story. Nai Chen coughed twice, slightly embarrassed, but soon told the whole story. Moreover, his words were righteous, sonorous, and powerful, without any hint of lies. Is everything you said true? Of course, Aolan was with me the whole time. If you don't believe me, you can ask my wife. After Nai Chen said this, Chu Qingyu nodded, feeling a little guilty in her heart. Nai Chen obviously didn't lie, and besides, there was Ao Lan as a witness, so it was impossible to hide anything from him. It seemed that I was overthinking it a little bit. Okay, I will trust you first. Chu Qingyu snorted arrogantly, but she looked like she had already forgiven Nai Chen. Haha, my wife, you are so considerate. Nai Chen couldn't help but smile. Anyway, if I behave upright and sit upright, I can guarantee a few more sentences. Honey, don't worry, no matter how little these mortal women wear and how seductive their movements are, I will never be attracted to them in the slightest. After all, no matter how beautiful they are, they will never be as beautiful as my wife. Nai Chen stretched out 4 fingers and swore, his words sonorous and powerful. Okay, I know how to be glib. Hearing these words, Chu Qingyu turned her head, as if she didn't want to pay attention to Nai Chen. But the sweet smile on her lips that never faded completely betrayed her. Let's go in and have a look. It just so happens that I haven't heard music for a long time. Facing the noisy fireworks in Liuxiang, Chu Qingyu glanced at Nai Chen faintly. What's wrong? Nai Chen asked. But soon, Chu Qingyu stretched out her slender hand. I'm afraid I'll lose you. Honey, are you afraid that I will run away with someone else? You. Seeing the Empress, who was a little embarrassed and angry after her idea was exposed, Nai Chen smiled and quickly held hands. The Empress's slender hands were as cold as hers, and they were still cool and smooth even in hot weather. Slightly half a head shorter than Nai Chen, the two were holding hands and walking together, but their height made them a perfect match. There should also be monks here, but Chu Qingyu seems to have no intention of hiding the relationship between the two. However, despite the gazes coming from all directions, I still felt a little embarrassed. Although this is Fireworks Willow Lane, most places are places for listening to songs and watching dances. Most of the people who come here are scholars from well-established families or monks who have achieved some level of cultivation. Although it was noisy, there weren't too many people from the market mixed in. The sounds of singing and dancing occasionally coming from the attic do have a different meaning. Dating here seems to be a good choice. By the way, you probably don't have any more of the 9-yang chaos pill. Chu Qingyu opened her red lips lightly, with a hint of shyness in her voice. After all, for Nai Chen, who has not yet reached the waiting realm, having this elixir and not having this elixir are simply not on the same level. Nai Chen did not answer, but instead asked, my wife asked this question, do you want it or not? I hope there is, no, of course I hope there is no more. That kind of pill is so abominable. Hey, a woman's mouth is a fickle ghost. Wife, you obviously didn't say that last night. Fortunately I hid the rest. When did I say last night? No, you actually still have it? Where did you put it? Chu Qingyu blushed and tried to ask repeatedly, but Nai Chen remained silent. In fact, without the demon pill of the Bahai realm, he could not refine the 9-yang chaos pill. But facing the Empress, Nai Chen did not intend to show weakness. Otherwise, he would be the one walking with his hands on the wall next time. Damn it! Sooner or later, I will find those pills you have hidden and destroy them. Don't even think about it, I will definitely hide them and wait until the critical moment to deal with you, my wife. Just as the two were joking, Nai Chen suddenly saw Ao Lan coming from a distance. Ao Lan, did you send back those Jiaolong girls? Yeah. Ao Lan nodded his head. Ao Lan happened to be there, so Nai Chen seized the opportunity to ask. By the way, Ao Lan, you were with me yesterday, so you should have an impression. When I sent back those Jiaolong women, did they go directly to Beiwa Pavilion and did nothing? Why do you suddenly ask this? Yes, that's right. Although slightly puzzled, Ao Lan still answered. Look, My wife, I didn't lie to you. Nai Chen smiled. Chu Qingyu also nodded slightly, feeling a little ashamed for thinking too much. But, did you forget something? Just then, Aolan shook her little head and looked to the side. At the same time, a heavily made-up woman walked out of the alley. Seeing Nai Chen, she immediately came forward excitedly. Hey, master, you are finally here. You said you would come and sit with us again. I didn't forget it. Shock, the love letter was sent to the Empress by mistake. Author, MaleProtagonist. Chapter 261. As promised, go and sit for a while. Chu Qingyu smiled and looked at Nai Chen. There seemed to be a cold breath floating in the air. Everyone in Nai Chen was dumbfounded. Last time, I thought that since the sky was high and the sea was vast, it would be impossible for me to come to a place like this again, so I just dealt with this woman casually. As a result, Nai Chen never expected that he would bring the Empress on a date, and what was even more outrageous was that he happened to meet her. So beautiful, this is yours. The woman glanced at Chu Qingyu standing aside, stunned for a moment, and suddenly realized something was wrong. Years of professional ethics made her quickly try to change her words and smiled awkwardly. Girl, don't get me wrong, I'm actually just talking about it for fun. This young man has never been to our place, let alone been kissed by our girl. Seriously, I've never been kissed before. Do you think I look like a liar? Nai Chen. This damn thing is getting darker and darker. If it continues like this, I might not be able to clean it up even if I jump into the Yellow River. Nai Chen, do you want to explain it to me? At this moment, Chu Qingyu was already smiling and approaching step by step. Honey, listen to my quibbles, if not, listen to my explanation. My wife doesn't want it? Chilling laughter like silver bells echoed in the noisy alleys. After a while, looking at the two people in front of her, the woman was obviously confused. The girl in front of her was extremely beautiful, and her jade hands were even more slender and soft. But why did that little steamed bun-like fist hit Nai Chen on the chest until he vomited blood? Hey, young people today are so weak. Fortunately, I didn't hand the girl over to her. The woman let out a long sigh and looked at the young couple in front of her. Although they smelled scary, they looked very affectionate while flirting. After eating a whole mouthful of dog food, he had no choice but to sneak away in despair. After a long period of time, relying on his sharp tongue and Ao Ian's testimony. Although he still seemed a little weak, Nai Chen finally explained the general situation clearly. Humph, even if you say so. Chu Qingyu snorted lightly and turned around coldly. Although she roughly understood the outcome of the matter, she was obviously still a little angry, and she was not easily coaxed. Honey, don't you want to date? Where should we go next? Snort. Honey, there is a candy stall in front of you, do you want to try it? Snort. Honey, to tell you the truth, I actually learned an excellent dual cultivation technique. Snort. Faced with the Empress's 3 consecutive hums, Nai Chen knew that his wife today did not seem as easy to coax as usual. In this case, this is the only way. Nai Chen gritted his teeth and finally decided to launch the powerful killing move that he had hidden for a long time. When he opened the little love letter he got from the system last time. Ding, I've detected that the Empress is in a bad mood now, and opened a new volume of little love letters. The golden light flashed, and in addition to the previous romantic or domineering love words, a new chapter was added. Homophone love letter. As we all know, homophone memes are one of the most embarrassing jokes. So far, Nai Chen still remembers a friend who joked with him. No one can stop me, except Royal Lord Lan, how embarrassing was the scene. Are you sure this love letter can be used? But recalling that the system had always worked well before, he had no choice but to give it a try. Wife. Nai Chen looked at Chu Qingyu, his eyes suddenly calmed down and seemed a little affectionate. Chu Qingyu was just about to respond with a slight snort, but she noticed Nai Chen's deep and emotional eyes. What do you want to do? Just halfway through asking, Nai Chen already had a magnetic voice and said, Empress, I drank some medicinal liquid yesterday. Do you know what it was? Chu Qingyu. It's the night I miss you. Are you crazy? However, Nai Chen seemed to have no intention of stopping. Honey, I went to farm yesterday. What kind of land did I farm? I am totally devoted to you. Stop talking, how could you say such shameful words? Nai Chen, Bao, I went to eat noodles. What kind of noodles did I eat? I want to see you. Honey, I went fishing today. What kind of fish did I catch? I will love you until death. Bao, I drank today. What kind of wine I drank will last forever with you. As disgusting as it is, even passers-by who happened to hear these words couldn't help but shudder all over and looked at Nai Chen strangely. But it was completely different from other people's reactions. Unable to hold back the cold feeling any longer, Chu Qingyu burst out laughing. How on earth did you come up with these homophonic sounds? Holding her abdomen, Chu Qingyu felt her stomach hurt from laughing. The ice on her beautiful cheeks melted. For my wife, I can think of all the homophonic jokes. Nai Chen smiled, but he didn't expect this little love letter to be so reliable. Although the homophonic memes are embarrassing, they also have a miraculous effect. In short, I understand everything roughly. Since you didn't lie to me, I'll forgive you for now. Chu Qingyu snorted lightly, with a smile on her lips. Haha, my wife, you are simply the fattest. Nai Chen gave a thumbs up. This time, Chu Qingyu grabbed the Empress's soft hand and obviously did not resist. This emperor is not a pure girl. No matter how nice the love words are, without actual actions, this emperor will never be fooled again. Chu Qingyu stared at Nai Chen with a little resentment. Don't worry, of course not. Although he thought that the Empress was not much different from the pure girl, Nai Chen smiled and replied. By the way, my wife, don't you want to listen to music and date? Let's go. Let's go. She said as if they had not reconciled yet, but the tone of flirting was many times more intimate than that of a young couple who just went on a honeymoon vacation. Aolan, who was watching the scene next to her, was stuffed with dog food. Hey, so greasy. Thinking of Nai Chen's homophonic love words just now, she couldn't help but feel a chill all over her body. But she never expected that the Empress seemed to really fall for it. As expected, love between humans is too strange, and it is simply not something dragons can understand. At this moment, Nai Chen and Chu Qingyu have already walked into the Beiwa Pavilion. Senior Nai Chen. Seeing Nai Chen, Xiang Ying, and several girls from the Jiaolong clan quickly stood up, all of them showing some excitement. Nai Chen not only saved several members of the Jiaolong clan, but also helped to pacify the forces of the King of Beasts. For their Jiaolong clan, he is really a great favor. Seeing Nai Chen again at this moment, the emotions at this moment are already full of excitement. Long time no see. Xiang Ying walked forward with a gentle smile. But at this moment, she and the Jiaolong clan members around her suddenly noticed another figure walking in beside Nai Chen. Who is this? At the same time, all the dragons felt a very cold and majestic, extremely terrifying breath at the same time. This breath. This is actually, Empress Qingyu,